What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. I was recently left a comment on an older video, and in that comment, Jaquise, hopefully I'm saying that right, basically said it would be more helpful to know what my finances look like starting out, rather than what they are now after already finding a path to success in the field. When I first read that comment, I didn't really know what to think of it, but after thinking about it for a few minutes, I realized that he was right. Before I got into the field, I was just as, maybe more interested in what newer trainers were making compared to more established people in the industry. I knew it was possible to do really well financially, but I didn't know what it took to get there. So, what I will attempt to do in this video is share my trainer income over the last 10 years. We're talking from 2013 to 2022. And this should be interesting because my income has varied pretty wildly in that 10-year time span. I'm not quite sure what the thumbnail of this video will look like, however, there's no doubt it will allude to some of my struggles in the past, which, spoilers, I was pretty broke for a good while. Anyways, I'll break all of that stuff down in much more detail, but first, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Both of those things really do help the channel to grow, and that allows me to keep making free content for all of you. Thank you so much for that support, everyone. Now on to the rest of the video. Now we're going back all the way to 2013, and 2013 was the first year that I did any decent amount of personal training. I technically started doing training in 2012, but I was doing very little at that point. Even in 2013, my training numbers were nothing special at all, humble beginnings to say the least. Anyways, in 2013, I made about $4,000 as a personal trainer. At that point, I was wrapping up a 4-year degree in exercise science, and I had another retail job, so I just wasn't working that many hours as a trainer. It was a good way to get my feet wet though. Just to be clear, I was very much hurting for money at this point in time. I was broke for sure, there is no other way to put it. In 2014, I finished up my exercise science degree, but I still wasn't that booked up as a trainer. At this point in time, I started to train clients at the YWCA in addition to the private studio where I was already working. I made about $25,000 training clients that year, or just under $32,000 adjusted for inflation. I did still have another part-time job in addition to those 2 training jobs, so I had 3 jobs in total. So the money I made in that third part-time retail job isn't reflected in that total. In 2014, I wanted to make more money as a trainer, but I wasn't booking up all that fast. Don't get me wrong, I was starting to get somewhat busy, but it was definitely a slower buildup. That year, there were months where I barely made rent or straight up didn't make it, and I had to borrow money from family. Being broke in those early years really motivated me to grind. I never wanted to feel like that again. It was in 2014, after almost 2 years of training clients, that I decided that I wanted to start my own training business. I signed on my first in-home, or me going to train clients in their homes clients, at the end of 2014. 2015 was an interesting one because, in my opinion, that's when things really started to take off. I only worked on 2 big things in 2015: personal training and getting a license in massage therapy. Over the course of 2015, I signed on a good handful of in-home personal training clients. Between my 3 training jobs, the private studio, the YWCA, and training clients in their own homes, I was pretty booked up. I decided to get the license in massage therapy at that point because I knew I was going to be running a training business going forward, and I figured offering massage therapy alongside training would mean extra cash, extra stability, and it would help me book up initially when I fully went off on my own. Of course, getting that license in massage therapy was no joke. It was a 20 to 30 hour a week commitment. I was working a lot that year. When you add up the 30+ hours a week I was working as a trainer and the 20 to 30 hours I was doing every week to get my license in massage therapy. Anyways, I made about $45,000 that year working as a trainer. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $57,300 in today's money. I still wasn't killing it, but by living with a roommate, I was able to comfortably afford my bills and start to save some money. 2016 is the first year where I was able to go full out as a trainer. I had my degree, I had my license in massage therapy, and I had a good number of CEC courses completed by then too. Not that those CEC courses really mattered too much, but I had them done. I also had 3 or 4 years of experience at that time, and I was pretty confident in my skills. I actually ended up quitting the YWCA that year and only focused on working as a trainer in a private studio, which, keep in mind, I was just a regular trainer at that private studio in 2016. I also trained 8 to 10 clients in their own homes as well that year on the side. I made about $50,000 that year doing personal training and another $3,000 doing massage therapy. Even though I didn't include some other income streams in previous years, I feel like I can and should include massage therapy alongside training going forward. In my case, they're very closely related, and for most of my career, all of my massage clients have also been training clients. Anyways, $53,000 adjusted for inflation is over $60,000 in today's money. I was working just about an average of 50 hours a week at that point. I was living with a roommate and my cost of living was low, and that allowed me to save a good amount of cash. On paper, 2017 wasn't all that different compared to 2016 in terms of income. The biggest thing I did in 2017 was buy a house. I feel like I've said it a bunch in other videos, but I didn't buy just any house. I bought a duplex where I trained clients in one side and lived in the other side. This training side of my house would be my first studio. I didn't really see any extra income from that in 2017 though. 2017 was just a better, more successful version of 2016. I made about $60,000 training clients and another $5,000 doing massage therapy. In today's money, that's almost $80,000. 2018 was an interesting year because it was the first year where I had an actual studio at my disposal. 2017 was the setup year, but in 2018 we hit the ground running, and having that in-home studio did allow me to train some extra clients. In 2018 and in 2019, those clients who I was training in their homes, well, I tried to convert them to clients training in my home studio. My now wife, then girlfriend Alexis, also trained clients in that home studio, and the two of us fully booked that space out in under a year. Keep in mind, I was a full-time trainer working for someone else while all of this stuff was going on. As involved as it was, at this point in time, all the house studio was a side gig. In 2018, I made around $66,000 training and another $5,000 doing massage therapy. In 2022 money, that's around $85,000. 2019 was the riskiest year so far, and to some extent, my trainer pay does reflect that. I made about $64,000 doing personal training and around $18,000 doing massage therapy. So in 2019, I actually made less money doing personal training than I did in 2018. I technically only made more overall because of massage therapy. Over the course of 2019, I slowly but surely cut away hours at my old full-time training job. I went from working about 40 hours a week for someone else to being fully self-employed by the end of the year. Switching away my hours slowly to being self-employed allowed me to stay booked up for the entire year, which of course was good for my wallet. Myself and my business partner wife Alexis moved our personal training studio out of our home and into a commercial space at the end of 2018. So now in a commercial space in 2019, we were really focused on growth or acquiring new clients. We went about that in a number of different ways, some of them pretty straightforward, some of them not so much. We focused on beefing up our website and Google ranking. We did some Facebook advertising, both free and paid, and we made efforts to encourage clients to tell their friends and family about us. We also did something that was incredibly good and bad at the same time. We ran a Groupon ad for massage therapy and we sold a ton of them. We never ran one for personal training because I didn't want to cheapen that service or make our current personal training clients feel like they weren't getting a good deal. We've never significantly reduced our training price for any reason, and I'm very glad we've stuck to that. However, when it came to massage therapy, I was willing to take more chances. So I sold a ton of massage therapy Groupons, and I incentivized the people who bought them to do two things. One, leave us a review on Google or some other platform. Two, try out personal training. Out of 500 or so, yes, you heard that right, 500 or so people who came in for that Groupon, 4 became really good personal training clients, and a whole bunch of others left us reviews on Google and other platforms, which have actually been very helpful. I wasn't the only massage therapist doing these sports massages, by the way. I hired on 2 other therapists to help out as well. So the massage therapy Groupon was great because 1, it gave us a ton of exposure and boosted our Google ranking. 2, it got us a ton of positive reviews. And 3, it got us a few really good long-term clients. The bad things were it brought in some very cheap people, many of which had no interest in full price services. And 2, we had to do 500 plus massages. Enough said. Even though running that Groupon campaign was really good for initial exposure and jump-starting our business, I don't think I would ever do another one. But anyways, all of this explains why this massage income was much higher in 2019, but training income was lower. By the way, 2019 was the first year that I had other trainers working for me, and they helped to bring in a little bit of extra revenue too. By the time 2020 rolled around, I had a whole bunch of different income streams. In 2020, I made just under $100,000, and about $79,000 of that was from personal training and massage therapy. If you're curious as to how I made that extra $20,000 that year, make sure to check out this video over here. I actually made less money training in 2020 because my studio was closed for a few months during lockdowns. Other than that, it was a pretty strong year. In 2021, I made over $127,000, and $101,000 of that was from doing training and massage therapy sessions myself. By the way, by the end of 2020, basically moving forward from there, I really didn't do a whole lot of massage therapy going forward from that point. And that's because my studio was booked up enough with training where we were able to kind of phase massage therapy out little by little. Again, if you're curious about all of my different income streams in 2021, you'll have to watch this video right up here. And now on to 2022, the year that kind of, sort of, brought an end to the pandemic, but also a bunch of other weird things did happen as well. I haven't fully figured out how much money I made in 2022 yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be around the exact same as what I made in 2021. I actually did a little bit less training in 2022 and passed off a good number of sessions to other trainers who work for me. Of course, I have to pay these trainers, and I try to pay them well, so in turn, I make a bit less money than I could. My YouTube pay basically doubled in 2022 though, and all of my other income streams increased as well, so that's pretty cool. I would estimate my trainer pay, or how much money I made doing sessions in 2022, is around $90,000 to $95,000. Again, my overall pay in 2021 and 2022 were very similar. I just focused on some other things more in 2022, like growing this YouTube channel, training other trainers to help me run my studio, and I moved. Yeah, you guys know that duplex that I'm always talking about? Well, I finally sold it in 2022 and I bought a new house. And on that note, I am pretty sick of talking about how much money I make or made in the past. Hopefully some of you guys found this video helpful. I would like to think that I would have in those early years of training. If you guys have any questions or comments on anything, make sure to leave those down below. And if you haven't done so already, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, because both of those two things really do help the channel to grow, and that does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sort of healthy.